Today we return to the Kennedy Space Centre's Visitors Complex for the first time in something like 20 odd years. This is the first of the 2 days that we will spend here. Come and join us as we take in the world of space.
So the big boss is driving.
The big boss is certainly driving.
To Kennedy,
like that.
Kennedy Space Centre. Next one here. Let's see where we're going, shall we? Oh.
Yes, except this is all premature.
This is
This is not where we want.
not going well, folks. Yeah, arrow going out then. Okay, let's start again.
We'll do this course.
Head northwest towards State Route 50 East.
Glad he's cocking up, folks, and not me.
Turn right onto Ronald McNair Way, then turn right onto Florida 405
Yeah,
East.
here.
Oh, we're going into Home Depot instead.
No, you're cocking up real... I'm going to stop this, folks. We're on the right road now, folks. It was actually just a sort of a carry-on, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, and having been told by my dear beloved to turn right, I obeyed.
I get the blame again.
Right, so we're on our way to Cape Canaveral and the Visitor
Space Centre, that's where we're going.
Not sure if that's the order, but it's the right words, if anyway. Haven't been there since 1998, and I always loved it. And apparently, it's changed quite significantly from when we were last there. A lot of it has now gone inside, I think.
I'm just showing you. Look, where's the Target, but we call it Target.
That's because you're trying to be posh.
It's actually an American friend of mine years ago who called it Target, so I feel like I can say Target because she did, but it's Target, yeah. So there's a
anyway.
Anyway, I'm just showing them all the shops and stuff and everything. But the scene, you know, what you're going past and that, because so many people just go to, you know, Disney, and it's so nice when you're not in Disney. Believe me. And come out in the real Florida.
That's because you're Disneyed out.
Yeah, I am. I mean, we did it to death when our daughter was young. And, yeah, so...
Well, I think the crowning piece was when we stayed actually at Disney for 3 weeks.
Well, and we've done that 3 times?
Yeah, but
3 weeks, 3 times.
It wasn't 3 weeks every time, but it was the last one where it was a full 3 weeks. Was
that?
Yeah.
I know, we've done a couple of weeks, haven't we? But oh my God, yeah. And I thought at the end of that, you know, if one more person says, you have a nice day now, I'm going to throttle them. But,
you can't say that.
Well, no, I know, but you're like, oh my God. It's a British thing, I guess.
I just found...
I mean, I actually go around and I say to people, oh, you have a good day.
Yeah. But I think the problem is it's very much a Disney bubble, and
yeah.
I remember when we got out of there, it was sort of quite a shock to the old system, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially after the three week one.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
Still.
So it's very early in the morning. Well, it's not. It's 8:30. Americans go to work much earlier than we do. Anyway, I will stop this for now.
I was.
Oh, what were you going
to say?
All right.
In 1969, I think it was July 1969. For me, that was an incredible month because it was the time when on British television we got the first showing of Star Trek. Right, to boldly go where no man has been before. And then about 2 weeks after that, man landed on the moon, and to me that was an absolutely incredible time. And you know, that's why I know reasons why I absolutely love going back to Cape Canaveral. I don't know why we haven't done it. I suppose our attention moved away from Orlando.
We always go over to the west coast, don't we?
Yeah, whether it was Homosassa or whether it was
Port Charlotte.
Yeah.
Punta Gorda.
Yeah,
we like it down that way.
we've been going there now for so long. We've never been back this way. I did go back with Molly to do what we colloquially termed Speed Disney, because we had, and we still have, some lifelong Disney tickets, though I suspect it would be fun if we ever got round to trying to redeem those. And we were trying to use up the admissions that were on there. I think we got something like 2 weeks worth of admissions, if I remember rightly, and if you didn't use them, they lost a lifetime. We still had quite a few left in the bag.
I wouldn't like to try that out now.
No, neither would I.
Oh, it's just been, God knows how many years later.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they didn't. I don't think they even actually have the systems in place to read them. They'd have to take them in and find somewhere of actually reading the card.
I don't know if you can see up ahead, but we've got one of those lovely bridges to go over, I think. Yeah, we're going over the water. A bit cloudy today. Cooler. Good day to go, actually, to Kennedy Space Centre. It's just water out there.
There are police reported ahead.
Oh wow. Saturn just told us there's police ahead.
Oh, and there's the police ahead.
Right.
Continue for 1 mile.
1 mile, go 45 miles an hour.
Keep right, then you will arrive at your destination.
It's a big rocket. Lots of rockets here.
That's not a rocket. Well, that's the rocket boost liftoff.
Oh, okay.
That's for shuttles, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think we...
Coming the wrong way. No, that's right. You've got to go left, turn right and right again. Why did we not come in that way? We drove down there. Yeah, because I can remember all those rockets being over there, and there was like hardly anything around it then. It's all been built up.
In addition to these ticket machines, you can also purchase tickets at the information centre, and then you have a lot more choice as to the different options that you can select. This is Gateway, which is advertised as the Deep Space Launch Complex. It features flight-flown artifacts, models, as well as 4 thrill rides. This exhibit explores the spaceport of the future and private industry in space. There is the Jet Propulsion Lab, an example of the Orion crew vehicle, which was actually flight-flown on one of the exploration test flights. There's also a set of 1/25th scale rocket models, a SpaceX cargo dragon, and an example of a SpaceX astronaut suit. Came in, we shot past the rocket garden and made our way straight to the gateway, and that's because we'd read up on the internet and also were informed when I was buying the ticket that that was probably the best thing to do. And I imagine that's because the thrill rides that they have in the gateway tend to get quite full quite quickly, and therefore if you want to experience it, go there first. So we returned to do the Rocket Garden, and it's the one place that I really remember when we were last here in the 1990s. Here you will find the real rockets that launched NASA's Mercury, Gemini and Apollo programs into space. Can take a guided tour around. I think it was an extra charge. We decided not and prefer to wander and make our own way. So the last time we were here at the Rocket Garden, it was in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing near it or around it. It was just out in the open. And now it's considerably more built up, with a lot more going on here, including talks. So we're now going to go into the Astronaut Hall of Fame and see what's up here. Tree to Heroes and Legends is up a ramp, past the Rocket Garden and into a holding area where, after a short while, the lights dim and the pre-show starts.
I can remember being inspired, like most young children, by TV heroes.
I was inspired, of course, by science fiction.
I think we all have popular heroes, movie stars that move us emotionally or make us feel.
I think my hero is Churchill. My hero is Dr. Jane Goodall.
Elon Musk.
One side, the doors open and the audience goes through into the theatre.
Alan Shepard will rocket to 115 miles above the Earth. He will weigh nearly 1,000 pounds by punishing acceleration of a giant cruising rocket.
You know the old desire of all pilots, when you walk up in the airplane, you always kick the tires just to be sure they're not flat. Another way of kicking the tires, so to speak.
Send command 400, undock now.
Going low. Still have control. Welcome to the Air Force Station, Lieutenant. What do you think about that new F-86 Sabre jet?
Well, I think we're about to find out.
In the 1930s, the people of the past, the barnstormers and the people that did the early triumphs in aviation, and one of them, of course, was Charles Lindbergh. And my journey took me beyond my wildest dreams to places like the moon. I can't wait to see where you will go.
Show mixes graphics, actual footage, interviews and wind machines to create a really immersive and emotional reflection on the biographies of the heroes of aviation and space before it then looks to the future. You exit past artifacts and videos. These highlight the hero qualities that one should aspire to. Here you can see the Mercury mission control used on the Friendship 7 program. This was a pivotal moment in the US space program. Launched in February 1962, it propelled John Glenn into space, making him the first American to orbit the Earth. The old-fashioned phones and the CRT screens, it's incredible really. A spacesuit from 1961, actually worn by Gus Grissom. This is the Gemini 9A, a representation of the way that the capsule actually heated up on its journey into Earth, and we reckon it got to 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is the capsule itself. Boy, is it small. Look how near you were to the rear of the capsule, which was getting all the heat. I would not like to have been in there. A couple of the uniforms warned from those that were in the United States Armed Force who became astronauts, and some more of the US Armed Forces formal attire. Alan Shepard, the first astronaut in space. And then you go through into the Astronauts Hall of Fame. There's a special area here where you can remember those that gave their lives during the progression of the space program. It's incredible just how many people have actually made it into space. So Fred Gregory up here, he was the commander of the first space shuttle that we saw launched back in 1991. Very good display, both the preamble videos and also the actual main events, which was the simulation of going back in time, looking at the various heroes of space, and then coming down to the Hall of Fame. Very good, very enjoyable. At the Universal Theatre, we went for the mission status briefing and ended up staying for the astronaut encounter, which was really good.
And 41 being used by the ULA once again. 48 isn't being used. And then we get into Kennedy, that was all Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. And then we get into Kennedy Space Center, and we've got the Atlas V. So the Atlas V, that's the one that was launched last night at 7 o'clock by the ULA there.
The trip to space station will be a short one, just 3 hours and 16 minutes from launch to docking, and you can watch it all, including the crew's first moments on station, live on NASA Plus.
To Mars, onward and up. The plan is to, for the Orion space capsule to dock with the gateway there.
And privileged to have with us a gentleman who has flown to space 5 times during his career.
Flights. This morning I'm only going to talk about my first 4. They were shuttle flights. This afternoon, if you come back to the theater, I will talk about just the Russian part. So that sounds a little inequitable, 4 missions and then only 1. But I only got 25 days total on 4 shuttle flights, but 115 days on the 1 Russian flight. So that's, and there we are. And I'm sure you realize that the basis on which we were selected was primarily good foods. You're in medical quarantine, so no one can come close to you unless they've been cleared by a flight surgeon. And it was one of those places where you could go and meet members of your family. 15 primary experiments. One of my jobs on my 12-hour shift, because I also had jobs going through on orbit, was to take care of 2 squirrel monkeys and 24 rats. We didn't do anything to those animals in flight. It was a test of the cage system in which they were.
Now this is one exhibit that I really want to see, but we're not going to do it today. We're going to do it when we come back tomorrow, so you'll have to wait till then. Instead, at an additional charge, we've booked ourselves on the extended bus tour.
A big group on board today, 45 people on board today. We have 2 groups from the United Kingdom. We have people here from Portugal. Okay, it looks like almost everybody here has never been here before, or it's been over 10 years. So I'll be telling you a lot about the Kennedy Space Center. Our trip will go over 25 miles. All right, the first rocket you're going to see is on the right-hand side. It's a Mercury Redstone, the kind that put America's first astronaut into space way back in 1961 on May 5th. We're 7 times bigger than all of the Disney parks put together. For our moon missions, called the Artemis program, they'll be taken out to the facility where our first stop is, and they'll be stacked one on top of the other, and that will be used for the 3rd mission to the moon, called Artemis 3. Now, the first big building coming up on the right-hand side is the Kennedy Space Center headquarters building. It's 7 floors high, 1 for each of the planets. The first floor is Mercury, 2nd floor Venus. The building to the right is one of the oldest buildings here, established during Project Gemini and Apollo, and that is the Manned Spacecraft Operations Building, now called the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building. The final building on this side, on the right-hand side, is the Space Station Processing Facility. All the different pieces of the International Space Station were brought into this building, tested and checked out before we move them out to insert them into the Space Shuttle Orbiter for their trips into space. As soon as we pass the trees, you'll be able to see Port Canaveral. That's the busiest seaport in the United States. We took that roll over from the Port of Miami just a few years ago. Structure there, if you have good eyes, you'll see an American flag on the top with the letters ULA. That is Launch Complex 37B. That was used by the Delta IV rockets. On the left is our most historic tower. That was built to launch the Apollo moon rockets. We also launched the Space Shuttle from there, and currently we use it by SpaceX for their Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, and they launch people from there as well. Early 1990s, America was planning on building a space station called Space Station Freedom. Well, we got underway on that design. The new administration under President Bill Clinton decided to cancel that program and replace it with a different program called the International Space Station. Now, we're going to be driving past this building, past the assembly building, but you don't have to worry about taking good pictures because we'll be getting off the bus in just a moment. You'll be able to get great pictures at that time.
We've got the Vehicle Assembly Building behind us. It's huge, absolutely massive. That's where the big rockets come out, and they go very, very slowly up to the launch pad. Good, isn't it?
There's a very nice mural over there depicting the space race, and then we have the NASA News Center and CBS News. This area is predominantly used by the news organisations when they're about to do a satellite launch or a rocket launch. The Kennedy Space Center is probably one of the largest. It's the 2nd largest, in fact, after the Everglades wildlife area in Florida.
Now, when the astronauts come out in the van, most of the time the space shuttle has 7 people in the crew. There's a $5,000 fine for interfering with the tortoises. Remember, this is a wildlife area, national wildlife area. There's a good view of the rocket on the pad. That's the one that's going up tonight.
Aware of the $5,000 fine, we gave this guy a wide berth as we made our way up to the stairs overlooking Launch Pad 39A. As you heard earlier, the rocket on this launch pad is due to be lifting off later on this evening. Over there in the distance is the vehicle assembly pad. It looks so small, which gives an indication of how far we are from it. And this launch pad will be used in February to commence our journey back towards the moon. It's only when you turned round and looked beyond the little hill that we were on that you appreciated how near we were to the coast. Absolutely incredible.
So is the ground torn up from the turtle? We have a lot of different wildlife out here. So again, this is pad 39B. Now what Sandria's going to do is she's going to pull off into a parking area. We're going to stop the bus for a minute or two. In 2002, I worked on the Space Shuttle program. My job was what was called an MS-1, Mission Specialist 1.
So this is Crawler Roadway, used by one of 2 massive crawler transporters that carry the rockets and shuttles down to the launch pad. They've been doing that for more than 50 years. This road is 130 foot wide and runs between the Vehicle Assembly Building and the launch pads at Launch Complex 39. It's somewhere around 4 miles long, depending upon which of the launch pads you're going to. The road consists of a 7-foot deep bed of river stones, chosen for their ability to withstand the immense strains. Further stones are added each time the crawler is used. The crawlers themselves are monsters, weighing 6.6 million pounds and able to carry a load of 18 million pounds at a speed of up to 2 miles per hour, though it must be noted they've never been tested at speed. Truly unique self-powered vehicles. The star that Joanne is standing in while she gets buffeted by the wind is exactly the same size as one of the stars on the American flag on the building behind her. It's incredible to think of the size of that flag. The Vehicle Assembly Building is built on massive pillars to stop it and its reinforced floor from sinking into the swamp. It's the actual orbiter access control arm that was used on Launch Pad 39A during the Space Shuttle program. It's the jetty that the astronauts walk down to board the shuttle.
Right on the other side of the building here is crawler number 2. There they are, the largest moving vehicles in the world. The top is 90 by 90 feet. That's the size of a baseball infield.
This drops us off at the Apollo Saturn V Center. Access to the center is included with admission, but the other aspects of the bus tour were an additional charge. A pre-show does the build-up for America landing on the moon.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about flying through space. Every week on TV, I'd watch my heroes as they jumped into their rocket ships and took to the stars. And I wanted to be like them. In 1961, we fell even further behind. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man into space, circling the world in just 89 minutes.
Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon.
And behind it all, we tried to perfect the rocket that would be powerful enough to punch out of Earth orbit and take us to the moon. We thought we'd fail, and that the moon was out of our reach. But we owed it to those men to learn from their sacrifice and to carry on. The next mission would travel to the moon. It was mankind's destiny to leave the shores of our planet behind and strike up. We stood on the eve of the longest, most dangerous journey that any man had ever undertaken. Through those doors, you'll find the firing room, launch control, just as it was on December 21st, 1968. Launch control for the Apollo mission. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. 36 stories high. She had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes and counting. And the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle. 10, 9, we have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3.
Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built.
The doors opened and we went into a massive room which contained from the ceiling the Saturn V rocket, famous for being the largest and most powerful rocket ever flown into space. the same rocket that was used in Apollo 11, the one that landed the American astronauts on the moon. This rocket is a conglomeration of two different rockets and not the actual one flown to the moon. Everything in the Apollo Saturn V Center is to commemorate man landing on the moon, and there's some interesting artifacts here to explore and look at as you want. Couple of places you can eat around here. The Moon Rock Cafe had a interesting menu, and also outside there was a chuck wagon with Cajun cooking food that looked really quite nice. I was quite tempted by that. Anyway, it was good. I just had a drink. Outside the Apollo Saturn V Center were buses ready to cart us back to the actual Visitors Center main area. It was not too late in the day, but we were both a little bit tired. We've been doing a lot of travelling, and we decided that we would finish off this tour and make our way back to the hotel. It's one of the reasons we booked a 2-day pass, so that we were able to fully appreciate it. So we'll be back tomorrow for our second day at Kennedy Space Center.
I will be dropping you off right by the Atlantis building. If you haven't been there, this is one of my favorite exhibits. They do have the actual Atlantis shuttle inside. That shuttle flew 33 missions in space, and when they would orbit at 17,500 miles an hour.